Yeah, Jenkins jarred his wrist quite badly in the game against Essendon. Structurally nothing wrong. He trained yesterday. He'll train fully tomorrow. But I think, 3 days in a row with a fair bit of handling of the footies is not ideal for him, but there's no reason why he won't be available for selection this week. Brown will be okay. Brown had some pretty severe bruising in his foot from the game against Essendon. If there was a game last weekend, he wouldn't have played. But fortunately for him, the weekend off over Easter's allowed him to sort of heal, and he should be right for this weekend. Yeah, it was good. We've got some boys who are here from the New Zealand Sports Academy. They're just watching our program for a couple of days this week, but it's actually worked out really well. Jim Love coached Tonga, and Daryl Shelford played for Scotland, and obviously both got fantastic long rugby backgrounds, so it's worked out really well for us. The timing's perfect, to do a little bit of extra technique, tackling stuff, which we need, and a low tackle count last week, and tackling was a major concern for us last season, so the opportunity to get a bit more advice has been good for our guys.
It looked like it was just sort of tutorial stuff out there, on theory. Did that when they involved yesterday, a bit more physical?
No, first day today, it was pretty much, a theory session, so just stripped it right back to the basics, and we didn't want to bash and crash into each other today, and with the full squad out there, it was just more about some technique stuff and some triggers that sort of help our guys with some of the method, and it's difficult to replicate the intensity at training, but hopefully we're taking a small step to getting better at being a tackling side.
In terms of that being technique, how do you then deal with the attitude issue as well? One or the other?
Yeah, intensity's difficult to replicate at training, but there's no reason why we can't bring that on game day. If you look back at the game, you look at some of the free kicks we gave away, they were really soft ones though. It was, a player who's on the ground and we just come in too high. So the intensity can be lifted, but I think it's more of a method thing. Some guys gave away 4 or 5 free kicks just through a method problem, not an intensity issue.
Is that a disappointment for you? Because you didn't focus on that in the pre-season?
Yeah, it should have been. It should have been high. Yeah, I mean it's funny. Some sides, Richmond won on the weekend with 40 tackles. That Richmond Carlton game was really open, really free flowing. Both sides had really low tackle count. Other games were really high intensity tackle games. So depends which sort of game you're in, but I'd prefer to be involved with a footy club who does tackle. So we want to make sure we're consistently in the top 8 when it comes to tackling. We want to build our side around really good defensive values, so tackling's part of that.
What do you think it's taking so long for the players to sort of get on top of that side of things?
It's a good question, because I think they want to get better, and we're doing a lot of work on it behind the scenes, and we had a big summer with our tackling, and this week we might have 80 tackles. Who knows? It depends on the sort of game that you're in, but I would prefer a tight, scrappy game than a open, free-flowing, if that makes sense. The games we like to watch as spectators is like the Carlton-Richmond game, where it's just up and down the ground, high speed, free-flowing. But from a coaching point of view, from a selfish point of view, I'd rather it be in close, contested, high tackling, rather than the free-flowing type.
Can we just clarify, mate, that those blokes were from New Zealand?
New Zealand Sports Academy.
Sports Academy? Yep.
Yep.
So it wasn't the Warriors or anything?
Oh, they do some work for the New Zealand Warriors, but they're from New Zealand Sports Academy, yeah.
Why is League the best are they the best people to tutor in tackling, or are you looking for input from a wide range?
It was just a fortunate coincidence that those boys were here this week. They actually came to us to have a look at our program, so they're having a look at our program behind the scenes just for a couple of days and see how we operate. And I asked if it was okay while they were here with their backgrounds, if they could just take us through a little tutorial, which they were more than happy to do so. So I'm sure a few of our players will grab them while they're here the next 2 days, and we might send a couple of guys to them in the next 2 days just to make sure that any little problems or any deficiencies might be able to be ironed out.
So there's a free lunch here?
Yeah, they're in the cafe now getting a free lunch, yeah.
Would you rather hit a team in hot form or someone coming off a humiliation like Brisbane?
I've never thought of that. We can do the very best we can to improve on where we were poor in our last match, and we've had a really good week of coaching. I think, we've done our very best in the extended time between games to work on some areas that we were poor at against Essendon, and we hope to make an improvement. I've really liked Brisbane, what I've seen this year, particularly through the NAB Cup, and like us, they'll be hurting a bit from a disappointing result against the Western Bulldogs, but we're expecting a really hot game. Our boys are keen to make amends for what was a disappointing result for us against the Bombers. So this game will come around eventually. It just feels like it's been a long time coming.
In terms of making amends, how many blokes are you prepared to give second chances to?
Oh, a lot. Yeah. I mean, you can't go through a whole career in it without playing a poor game. There is a variance though too. You can't be consistently bad and keep getting games. What I liked about the weekend from an SANFL point of view is some guys went back and really played well. So that'll be the dilemma for us, and we'll have to make some tough calls at match committee this week. And if you play poorly consistently, you're not going to be playing for us. So it's good that there's some guys playing some really good footy in the SANFL.
I know it's hard to declare, Brenton. Sorry, mate. I know it's hard to declare.
Yep.
I mean, selection yet, but
Yep.
supporters think wholesale changes 3, 4, 5. I mean, you'd be suggesting just a tweaking of the side, a couple of changes.
Yeah, it's hard to know until we get up there and debate together, but my gut feel would be 1 or 2 changes. But like I said, if you get a game this week coming off a bad one, you can't afford to have another bad one, if that makes sense. So, I mean, sometimes when you haven't got the depth, players continually get games when they're out of form, but if you've got depth, you have to reward form. So I'm not afraid at all to throw the team around if it means we've got a team in form.
What about structurally with your attack? Do you need to rethink that?
Oh, we're always thinking about it. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it for the last 6 or 7 months, really, since we lost our one of our key forwards from last year. So we'll keep looking at what adjustments we need to make the team better, and personnel. Does Henderson play forward or back? John Cock forward or back? We get potentially Callanan back this week. Which will add some sort of spark to our forward line. So it's all about what gives us the best result, whether it's 3 talls or 2 talls, or maybe 1 tall and 5 quick smalls. So we're constantly debating that and working out what the best way is going to be for us. Last year when we went to the Gabba, we took 3 talls. We kicked 6 goals, 7 in the first quarter, and then lost the game. We couldn't defend them running the ball out of our forward 50. So there's positives and negatives when it comes to 3 talls. So we'll just keep talking about it, and hopefully we get the mix right.
Is the moment for Tom Lynch, right?
Oh, he played well on the weekend. Yeah, he's actually going to play a lot of footy for us over his career, and I'm really confident of that. It's just where he fits in the makeup of our team at the moment. I've talked a lot about Henderson, Johnston, Lynch are very similar sort of players. That sort of 190 running half forward. But Lynch went into the midfield for Glenelg on the weekend and played really well. So maybe we can look at him as a possible sort of taller wingman, or even a guy that can play across half back as well. So I do really like him. He's a bit of a utility for us. He can play a variety of roles, but it's good to see him in form. Yeah, he's a really important player for us.
There's not losing 2 in a row, so any thoughts this week on your situation?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I don't want to lose 2 in a row. We fortunately didn't experience that last year. It's important that we get back on the horse this week and make sure we get the result that we're after. The competition's so tight. We've seen with some of the results already through round 1 that you can't afford to keep dropping games. So this game becomes, round 2. It's really important that we get a win this week. Brisbane will be the same. They can't afford to start 0-2 either. So it's why we love this game. This game becomes so critical for us this round.
How big an issue is that for you, though? Do you mention that to the guys, like that's a record that you really want to keep intact, that you don't drop 2 games straight?
The players know, and I'm, I don't want to lose this game. I don't want to lose any game. We're not going up there to lose. We're not going up there thinking, what if we lose this game either? That's really important to not even talk about that with the playing group. We're going up there with a really strong game plan, and this is how we want to play, and this is the team we're going to pick. And if you get on the aeroplane up to Brisbane thinking, what if we lose this game? You're already halfway beaten. So we won't even entertain that thought as a coaching group or as a group that we're going up there hoping not to lose. That's a really really poor mindset if that's what our players and coaching staff are thinking.
You were left with a lot to think about after that Essendon game. The things you want the players to focus on, what are they? Not the real priorities.
Yeah, there's a lot, to be honest. It's difficult because we had a loss and then we had, a 15-day turnaround between games. So you can sometimes overanalyse every contest that was in the game, and I tried not to do that. We tried to focus on a couple of key points that which we were poor on, and I'll be honest with you. Sometimes you watch the game live, you go home and do the review, and you think that wasn't that bad. But this was a game when I went home and watched the review and I thought that was actually worse than what I thought live. So we've got to get back to playing our style pretty quickly. So we've had a big week of coaching, we've had a big week and a half of training, and now we've got to get up there and start the game well and get a win away from home.
What about the movement away from stoppages?
Particularly late in the game, it hurt us. Yeah, and we've seen across the competition, round one, you haven't got time anymore to set up structurally at a stoppage. It's the ball's getting thrown up really quick now, so you've got to get there early and get set up, or you've got to have the ability to adapt if the ball does get thrown up quickly. So even all the games I've watched round one, ball ups are quicker. So we've got to be quicker to get there, quicker to get set up, or quicker to adjust if it is a quick ball up.
What do you take out of Western Bulldogs win? I mean, obviously Brisbane were pretty impressive in the pre-season, but is there anything you can take from the way they were dismantled?
Yeah, I think, and I said this last year too, in our preparation for an opponent, probably our weeks divided up about 75% about what we need to do to play well and 25% into the opposition. So we've had a good look already at the Western Bulldogs Lions game, and we'll have our opposition meeting later on this afternoon, match committee tomorrow afternoon. We'll just keep chipping away about what Brisbane do well and what the Bulldogs did well against Brisbane, but I'm sure we'll see a lot better, more even performance from the Lions this week. They were fantastic through the summer, and their NAB Cup form was outstanding. So they're a quality young side, and I'm sure they're going to bounce back really hard against us, and we've got to make sure we do the same thing after a disappointing loss against the Bombers.